Are you a literature lover? Are you tired of reading literature that does not resonate with our time? Do you have questions about literature? If so, welcome to the podcast, My Two Cents Worth, with Odilia Wakesho Mombori, the platform that discusses literature in relation to our times. I am uniquely Kenyan and relevantly African, hence my focus, African literature. This is a series on a Gen Z's outlook on African literature. Please listen till the end. You will definitely have food for thought. Let us sail in. First and foremost, I do acknowledge that this series heavily borrows from an article titled Gen Z and the African Literature, published in September 27, 2021. That gives the perspective of four Gen Z writers as interviewed by Emanuela Omonigo. Great, that's settled. Just a quick one, to put everything into context, who are the Gen Zs? This is a generation born between 1995 and 2010. Outlook in this series means perspective. African literature refers to the literary works written by Africans and for Africans, either in diaspora or in the continent. Well and good. Arguably, the assertion is that the outlook of Gen Z about African literature is that this generation have found comfort in freely expressing both the robustness and vulnerability in whatever literary work they read and write, unlike the Millennial generation. That's us. It is in so doing that they have brought newness in thoughts and how to express them. However, this is yet to get the reception into the African literature space and conversation. As stated in the article, quote unquote, Gen Z writers have felt that they had something new and different to say in their very own way that is not necessarily being seen. End quote. To create the basis of this discussion, let us get the understanding on African literature and its influence on Generation Z. Number 1. African literature's impact on cultural awareness and open-mindedness. I quote, Generation Z is known to be the most open-minded generation yet. They are keen to place quality of life over anything whatsoever. Their perspective on diversity and acceptance of individuality is clearly higher than any other prior generations. End quote. It is with this very understanding that they have by and by shaped a new outlook that aims to redefine or revamp African literature to fit this characteristic. Worth noting, African literature is not any different from the other types of literature, as it exposes individuals to the diversity of life in beliefs, perspectives, and ways of thinking. Notably, African literature, with its rich oral traditions and its writers therein, have progressively contributed to expanding the cultural awareness of Generation Z. The writers from previous generations have explored the relationship between oral tradition and writing, narrowing the gap between traditional storytelling and literary expression. This has influenced Gen Z to receive and appreciate how the writers from previous generations have been able to shift the form, structure, language, and image of oral tradition into a literary experience. A good example is Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, who undeniably is well known among Gen Z. I mean, which Gen Z has not yet read any of the amazing literary works of Chimamanda? I bet none. We know all her books, right? The open-mindedness in her works supersedes what was the norm then, hence resonating with the Gen Z on how to be fully aware of the social, political, and historical events of their native countries, thus providing a nuanced understanding of African cultures and societies. In conclusion, this is to say Though the outlook of Gen Zs might be seen new and fresh, of course, since the time is now clearly driven by the advancement of technology, the base of it all is how the societies they live in have shaped their cultural awareness. I mean, from something new to exist, there must have been an old thing, right? Do you change something from nothing? There have to be a from to get to a to, right? There you go. Next episode, we'll look at Gen Z's outlook in regards to African literature's influence on the social issues. That's all I have for you today. Kindly subscribe and share this podcast with your family and friends. See you when you see me. Bye.